Chinese police are operating secretly in Canada. This is the Great White North Report.
I'm in love with the system. Never going home. I'm in love.
Alright, I first read this on Yahoo News while I was at work and had to wait till I got home this morning. And it seems that the Chinese police are operating in Canada while our own government and security services apparently look the other way. And why is this? Why are we ignoring China's growing presence in Canada? And it's become more and more apparent over the years, especially during, and this didn't happen just during Trudeau's reign. It's all happened during the Harper era as well. But it's become more pervasive and emboldened and manipulative. And according to the Yahoo article I saw, there were three, the Chinese police are operating 3 stations in Toronto. And why aren't the Toronto police doing anything? Why aren't the RCMP looking into this? So Beijing describes its global police outposts as administrative centers to help Chinese nationals renew driver's license and other domestic banalities back home. They're also used to hunt down political dissidents, corrupt officials, or rogue Chinese alleged criminals and urge them to return home. First of all, with the driver's license and the other domestic stuff, that can be done at the embassy and consulate level. There are consulates all over Canada for Chinese nationals, especially near any university town. There will be a Chinese consulate nearby. Now, political dissidents who flee China and try and hide in Canada, yes. Corrupt officials, well, corruption is part of the Chinese landscape. You scratch a CCP member, you get corruption. Rogue Chinese alleged criminals, and are there any criminals here from mainland China? Probably. That's not a big deal. Canada is also becoming China's chew toy. Beijing constantly meddles in Canadian affairs, including disinformation campaign which helped unfriendly conservative MPs of Chinese ethnicity lose their seats in the 2021 federal election. Probably. That doesn't surprise me at all. Ottawa, Trudeau's Liberals, and Canadian big business, they want to be able to tap into the world's largest market. Unfortunately, the price is ignoring Beijing's Canadian agenda from a military and industrial espionage to harassing Canadians to speak out against it. So the Chinese police have set up offices in Canada, persuading alleged criminals to return to the motherland to face justice, while our own government security services apparently look the other way. It is a gross violation of Canadians' national sovereignty, international law, and the norms of diplomacy. China tried not too long ago to get an extradition treaty with Canada, which would allow it to hunt down people it says are criminals and force them to return home to await trial. Canada did not grant that extradition treaty, because then we would have the same type of power in China. But how many Canadians hide in China? We could go after Chinese citizens in mainland China if they committed fraud over here. And the Communist Party didn't want that. They wanted it all a one-way street. So it kind of fell through the wayside. And this was also shown during the Meng the Merciless Wanzhou trial. Canada arrested her at the request of the United States as part of our extradition treaty with them. The same type of thing they want to do, China wants with us. An extradition treaty. But they couldn't get it. And the United States has it with us, and it drove them bananas when we arrested one of theirs. What would happen if Canada requested access to China to get a Chinese citizen who was high up in the CCP for alleged crimes? So China's trying to extend its grip of its Orwellian police state into this country with seeming no worry about being confronted by our own national security agencies. Well, the RCMP is being hit hard by wokeness, as are the police. And our politicians in RCMP, they condemn Chinese state harassment of people in Canada, but what's been done? Nothing. No arrest or any expulsion of any Chinese diplomats that might be coordinating this kind of thuggery. My idea would be for the RCMP to find out who these undercover police guys are from China, make them disappear, not kill them. No Jimmy Hoffa here. Just make them disappear for a while in a jail. Isolated prison. Put them in isolation. Let them sit and rot for 20 years. Who cares? They know what they're doing. They should know the risks. Now, some of these operators are being given cover by being formally attached to local Chinese overseas home associations, which are largely co-opted by the Chinese Communist Party's United Front work operations run out of the Chinese embassies and consulates. Flouts international law, and including that, they require any other country's police wishing to give out their evidence in Canada to work through the RCMP. So they're bypassing our own police forces. because a lot of what they're charging these people is dubious at best. So they press their targets to return home, including by offering vague promise of leniency or even urging family members back home to encourage them to do so. So what they do is they follow these people around and they harass them. They call them, they appear at their workplace, they make false claims against what they posted on the internet or something like that. And the families back home are also in a lot of trouble. They get harassed back home. They also take aim at the alleged and unproven criminals by seizing their families' assets, denying children in China access to schools, terminating family members of employment, all in violation of due process. This is how it works. You have family in China and and they think you did something. There's not much you can do. If you want to help your family back home, you have to go back to whatever fate awaits you. And this is nothing new. It's been happening for years. 2001, during refugee hearings in Vancouver for Lei Jianxing, a businessman wanted by Beijing over accusations of corruption and smuggling. Chinese police admitted entering Canada using fake documents and even spiriting Mr. Lei's brother in an attempt to convince him to return home. Meanwhile, our authorities smiled benignly at this serious breach of criminal and immigration law. Mr. Lei was eventually deported back to China. The case should have been thrown out of court right there. So our security agencies, they have to know. They cannot be that dumb. They have to know what's going on. So does the government. But because we want to do business in China, we want to have good relations, we're so afraid of upsetting China that we do nothing. Even though they interfere in our electoral process, potential espionage in our universities and research institutes. Hey, look what happened in 2018 when we escorted 2 Chinese scientists out of our level 4 microbiology lab in Winnipeg. We escorted them, and we don't know what happened to them. They probably went back to China. Why they get escorted away from a lab? These were the 2 scientists that worked in the Wuhan lab. And this kind of behavior that we do nothing emboldens the Chinese to continue doing what they're doing. They use the international students. They use their Confucius institutes, embassies, consulates. Now they put police stations. There's 3 of them in Toronto, supposedly. My idea would be simply cut immigration from the Chinese mainland off completely. Not forever, but completely for now. Also ban any Chinese international students from attending our universities. Close down all these Confucius institutes. Also close down all consulates and embassies. And if it really comes to a head, and if China really gets upset about this, well, we can switch our recognition from Beijing to Taipei. I have no problems with that. What are they going to do? Are they willing to risk war? Like the United States is really going to love that. But this is our sovereignty at stake, and it's time for Canada to give its balls a tug and to step up. Anyway, Canadians out there, let me know what you guys think of this whole situation with the Chinese police in our own backyard. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and until next time, this has been the Great White North Report.